This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, September 24th, 2025. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. Sniper attack reported at ICE facility in Dallas. Shooting reported at Nellis Air Force Base. Multiple activist groups continue to urge violent attacks. On the home front, in Texas, at approximately 0640 this morning, the ICE detention facility on North Stemmons Freeway was targeted by a sniper who engaged targets from the roof of a two-story office building directly west of the ICE facility. No ICE agents were hurt during the attack, but one detainee was killed and two others were wounded, both of which remained in critical condition. The shooter has been identified as Joshua John, who was found deceased on the roof of the office building. In Nevada this afternoon, a shooting was reported at Nellis Air Force Base, which resulted in security forces shooting one individual. Local authorities state that a man approached the main gate firing a weapon before being challenged and subsequently shot by base security. The individual survived the engagement and was transported to a local hospital where he was treated for a non-life-threatening wound to his arm. No word yet on the suspect's name, and no base personnel were wounded during the engagement. Analyst comments for this wire. Around the nation, various armed groups have made increasingly more public attempts to organize and plan operations. This afternoon, locals observed flyers being placed around Georgetown to advertise the John Brown Gun Club, a far-left armed militant organization directly tied to Antifa and the attempted bombing of an ICE detention facility in 2019. Regarding Antifa, various daily riots and civil unrest continues in the usual strongholds of Seattle and Portland, with smaller demonstrations and protests taking place at various places around the country. In Eugene, Oregon, a small group of Antifa members attempted to besiege the ICE facility before several arrests were made. Separately, in New York, threats to a presidential visit to Farmingdale have come to light from the 50501 movement or the 5051 movement, which is organizing protests to target President Trump during the Ryder Cup event that he is scheduled to attend on Friday. Flyers have been posted sporting the typical thinly veiled rhetoric that is extremely common among far-left activist groups, with one flyer announcing protest times by using the phrase, "Early bird gets the Trump." The 50501 movement is a self-described anti-Trump political movement, most of which involves violent rhetoric that has expanded to include counter-ICE targeting efforts. Even as recently as a few days ago, this group was openly and clearly posting calls to shoot ICE agents on Reddit, with no hint of any opposition to their attack planning being conducted in the open. In Dallas, the FBI released an image of a stripper clip found at the sniper's position, which featured the words anti-ICE written on at least one of the bullets. Consequently, it's very likely that this individual was attempting to target ICE agents arriving for work, randomly shooting into the building at an unmarked van that was attempting to enter the facility through the sally port to the rear of the building. Instead of successfully hitting ICE agents, the shooter fired blindly into the structure and accidentally shot 3 detainees who were being transported inside the van. Sometimes, malign actors come about or are activated to conduct attacks for reasons that are not immediately discernible, though usually residing in the general realm of mental illness. Regarding this case, however, the general motive is quite clear. The bullet holes in the facility don't leave much room for doubt. Shooting up an ICE office with anti-ICE written on the bullets is about as clear of a motive as is possible to convey. Despite this, there will be endless speculation regarding most of these types of events. Every possible motive will be thrown out as a theory. Either way, the internet will do internet things, but the risk remains the same. Real people are dead, and the open threats and calls for this exact type of violence continue to escalate all around. More broadly, many groups have learned from the effectiveness of the Kirk assassination and are now making good on the threats they have been shouting for years. And as illustrated by the Dallas shooting, there are other big-picture concerns besides the immediate crime scene, which complicate the situation even more. In an age of fifth-generation warfare, things don't have to make sense, but they keep happening nonetheless. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, September 24th, 2025.